walking in lectures, walking in lectures. And before I get started, I just want to take a moment to thank all of my supporters for supporting my channel. You know, my channel is a little 4 years old, and none of that would be possible without all of my supporters. And don't forget to mark your calendar for July 27th at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to do another relational live stream lecture on full copy edit. So mark your calendar for that lecture. So with that being said, let's get on down to today's lecture. And the focus of this lecture is I'm going to give some tips, some very powerful tips on creating financial freedom and early retirement tips. And all of these tips I'm going to present, I have personally used to be able to fully retire September 2023, 4 years early, and the rest is history. And, you know, one of the most powerful tips I tell anybody is 10 years before I knew I was going to retire, I literally sat down and wrote down on a piece of paper my strategic plan to exit up out of the workforce 10 years in the future. You got to put it on paper. I retired from state government in the state of North Carolina, relocated to Florida, and I can clearly remember sitting down when I was still working in the workforce, and I had this thought and idea. I said, I got to put it on paper. And I literally said, first of all, I'm not going to work myself to death. 10 years in the future, I am going to retire. And I put that on paper. And I wrote down some plans to, number one, make sure you pay off all your bills. And when I say bills, I'm talking about real bills. I'm talking about mortgage. I'm talking about car notes. I'm talking about wiping out credit card bills. I'm talking about getting rid of your school loan, making sure that's taken care of. Prior to me writing that down, I had all those bills: mortgage, car note, deep in debt in credit card, school loan. And I knew that in order for me to be able to reach my goals to retire early, I had to enter retirement with zero debt in terms of bills like that. And I was laser focused. And another goal I put on my piece of paper is all promotions and raises I got in that 10-year journey. I treated that money like it didn't exist. I put on my piece of paper to accelerate my retirement, pump more money into my financial portfolio, increase the amount that was going into my state retirement. I set up an additional retirement account. You have got to put this on paper. And I even got a side job within that 10-year journey to increase cash flow. And so with that increased cash flow, I started eliminating my debt. I ended up paying off my mortgage 20 years early. I paid off my car note, got rid of all credit cards. Within that 10-year journey, when I can clearly remember, I made sure I enrolled into the federal student loan forgiveness program. I can literally remember when I first enrolled in that program, it was at the same time that I wrote down on a piece of paper that I'm on this plan to get out of this workforce and retire 10 years in the future. And along the way, as I start conquering bills and paying off bills, along the way, getting paid off credit cards, car note, other bills, paid off the mortgage early, still had time left in the workforce. So all of that money that I recoup when I eliminate bills, I took that same money and I start increasing the amount going into my retirement, because the state government, it was matching my retirement, but I also got additional 401s, increasing amount going into my retirement. Because think about it, if you're paying off bills, if you're paying off your car note, if you don't paid off that mortgage 20 years early, if you don't got rid of all of them credit cards, all of that money I would have been spending on real bills, Now I was accelerating my retirement, accelerating my portfolio. I had a side little part-time job on the weekend. I was investing that money. I was laser focused. And then communicate my financial advisor. I was not creating new debt in that journey because I knew what I had to do. Another key piece is I was in the federal loan forgiveness program. I was in that qualified employer. I made sure that I submitted all my renewal paperwork to have the remaining balance of my master's degree zeroed out before retirement. Everything tied in together. And I tell anybody, if you got a federal student loan, enroll your behind in that loan forgiveness program. Go through the service provider, Mahela, they service that. Don't believe this myth that people ain't getting their loan forgiven. I spoke to a very dear friend of mine last week. She got her paperwork from Mahela letting her know that the remaining balance of her master's degree has been zeroed out, and that remaining balance was well over $70,000. And me and her, I used to work with her before I retired. And throughout that journey, she worked in HR, and I would have many conversations with her. She knew about my strategic plan because I had to consult with HR as it got closer for them to put in for my retirement package. Plus, we were personal friends. We had the same mindset. She was actually in that federal student loan forgiveness program. My balance got zeroed out, and I retired before her. I think she got like a few more years before she retired, but still she got that same strategic plan in place. And me and her would talk, and we would say things like, people, it's something about people. They don't want to go to the source to find out what they need to do to enroll in that federal student loan forgiveness program. It don't make no sense. They out there doing everything else. And me and her were literally saying, because we paid attention to everything, there are certain documents that Mahela need to make sure your account is where it needs to be. They would give you a status report of your account. And I can remember throughout that journey when it was during COVID time, I was still in the workforce, and our company gave us a lot of extra money because for COVID pay. And I invested all of that money. I treated all that extra money that I was getting from my employer for 3 years like it didn't exist. And the federal government during COVID time, they set my monthly payment for my school loan at the time at zero, and they counted that $0 towards my 120 payments. To make a long story short, the last 3 years of my federal student loan, my bill was zero, and it met the requirement for me to get that powerful piece of paper from the federal government saying, and I got that paper August of 2023, that the remaining balance of your master's degree in the amount of $73,000 has been zeroed out. That means that was $73,000 that I did not have to pay after I met all those requirements. And that was the final piece on my strategic plan that I wrote down to make sure I do not enter retirement with a student debt. That was the last piece of the puzzle I was waiting on. Because all my other goals I wrote down on that piece of paper for 10 years in the future, I had satisfied. Debt, I literally had no bills about past 3 years before I retired. So I invested literally my entire paycheck back into my 401. And I was laser focused. I had side income, so I was able to pay my little bills like food and cell phone bill or whatever. But my point is, if I would not have shifted my mindset 10 years in the future to be able to retire and write it down on paper, my behind would still be getting up to work, going to work right now, hitting somebody's time clock, dealing with debt right now. Yeah, I have food, cell phone bill, and insurance. That's it. Those are the only bills I've had for several years. I was debt-free several years before I retired. All because I wrote a strategic plan. They didn't teach me this in college. Only thing graduate school taught me and only thing college taught me was how to get in debt. School loan, credit cards. This stuff I'm talking about right now, they don't teach you this in college. Because I'm talking about shifting your mindset. I'm talking about writing it on paper to gain financial freedom and to retire at any age and then you got to maintain that mindset. You got to understand the power of debt to income ratio. And even in retirement, I tell anybody, don't stop with creating other streams of income. Don't change your mindset. I still invest. I invest in other 401s. I reinvest my retirement check into another 401. I keep it going like that. Make sure you got money in your emergency savings account. So when I get ready to do something, when I get ready to travel, because I'm travel abroad or do anything, I do it in cash and I don't create new debt. That's what financial freedom is. It ain't about necessarily being rich or wealthy. No, what financial freedom is when you have the power to be able to travel when you want to. Financial freedom is you got enough money in your emergency savings account to cover your expenses 1 year in the future, 2 years in the future, 5 years in the future. A financial freedom is when any kind of financial emergency come up, it has no impact on you. You can go to your emergency savings account, pull out that money out of your emergency savings account and handle that financial situation. That's what financial freedom is. And it requires a shift in mindset. So I was so laser focused. I will never forget August of 2023. Because the only thing that I was waiting to fully retire from the state of North Carolina. And I was talking to my friend about this at the time when I was working. You know, me and her were talking. I said, the only thing I'm waiting on, I can't retire yet until the federal government send me my powerful piece of paper to let me know the remaining balance of my master's degree has been zeroed out. That's all I was waiting on. It seemed like it took them forever to send me that paper because I could not retire until I got that paper because they were still going in and analyzing my student loan account and they had to verify that I was still linked to a qualified employer, which was state government. So I wasn't going nowhere. I had, I was at the 10-year mark. 10 years had gone by. I was just waiting on that letter. I had done so much within that 10 years. Even throughout that process, I can remember at the time my daughter was in college, and I self-funded my daughter tuition so she wouldn't be in debt throughout that 10-year journey to set the stage so she can have a financially free life without worrying about school loan. She's in the Navy, going on 10 years, doing well, got her degree before she went in. But I was determined to make sure this girl was not deep in debt from school loan. So I paid her school loan throughout her 4-year journey in college to set the platform so she can move forward with her life without worrying about school debt. That's what financial freedom is, when your debt to income ratio is low so she can be able to have a chance in life. I did all that within that 10-year journey, which is significant. And that's where that side hustle job came in. I was literally laser focused and it paid off. It paid off August of 2023. Mahela, the student loan servicer, sent me my powerful piece of paper. I was on vacation at the time that letter came. When I returned from vacation, they basically informed me, you have met all the requirements, because I went to graduate school late in life. You have met all the requirements, and the remaining balance of your master's degree has, in the amount of $73,000, has been zeroed out. In that letter, they let me know we're going to notify Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. They're going to alert those major credit bureaus, because prior to that amount being zeroed out, if you were to go in and look at if I were to go in and look at my credit report, it had on my credit report that school loan, owed $73,000, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. But when I got that powerful letter from the federal government, they went in to alert those major credit bureaus that balance had been zeroed out. So when I went in and go check my credit reports, now it showed 0 Equifax, 0 TransUnion, 0 Experian. It shot my credit score up well over 800 because now that bill has been satisfied. When I got that letter, August of 2023, I'll never forget, that very first business day, I went into HR on my job and I put in for my retirement, and the rest is history. That was the last piece of the puzzle because I was not going to enter retirement with a school debt. So in order to create financial freedom and prepare yourself for early retirement at any age, do not enter retirement with mortgage, credit card, school loan, car note, personal loans, no kind of bill in any shape, form, or fashion. And when you're in that position, that can free you up to have more cash flow to continue to invest and increase your financial portfolio. September of this year will make a full year I've been fully retired. All of my retirement checks that I have received from the state of North Carolina since I retired, I have not touched any of that money. I have literally reinvested 100% of my retirement income into another retirement income, and that is power. I don't know no regular folks who can do that. And how I pay my little small bills, I have my own company, Parents and Associates Resource Center. I do professional business coaching at my leisure. I get royalty income from my books, and I get revenue from YouTube. So I use that money to pay my little bills, but I do want to put emphasis on understand people. I have had my business, Parents and Associates Resource Center, throughout simultaneously working in my profession for well over 20-something years. I have cultivated and developed my company throughout the years. So when I retired, my name is out there. So when I retired, that has always been a source of income. And my book hit all major bookstores long before I retired. So my royalty checks that I've been getting from my publishing company was hitting me before I retired. And my YouTube channel got monetized January of 2023 before I retired. So I was busting my ass cultivating and developing my other streams of income long before I retired simultaneously. You got to be laser focused. But and so now a lot of this extra income I'm generating, I done already done the footwork and the blood, sweat, and tears. A lot of that now is more passive income. And I'd be wise with that money. So that passive income has put Marie Holiday in a position to where I can reinvest my retirement income that I get for the rest of my life from the state of North Carolina, reinvest it into another retirement income. And then the state of North Carolina alerted me that my second retirement income would start October 1st of 2024. This year, income number 2, that money would be in reinvest. And when I get old enough to get Social Security, that's check number 3. And the key to that is my game plan is to keep reinvesting all of these checks and live off my passive income. And how I'm able to do that, because my damn bills are so low. I have no bills other than utility, cell phone bill, and food. That's it. I have no mortgage. I have no car notes. I have no school loans. I have no credit card bills, no personal loans, none of that. And it also helps to live a minimalistic lifestyle, because when you really change your mindset and understand that what a minimalistic lifestyle is you are very intentional with your money. You are very intentional on how you spend your money. So if you want to take a trip, that's intentional. You're planning it. You ain't creating no new debt. That's the secret right there. and you keep it going. You keep your money flow going. You keep the investments going. Just because I'm retired, that don't mean I've stopped investing. I can invest in as many other 401 retirement accounts as long as God gives me breath. And that's the secret to financial freedom right there. And I ain't learned none of this in school. And it all begun with writing it down on paper. And I can clearly remember writing what I had to do down on paper when I was still in the workforce, on setting the stage to fully retire 10 years in the future. And I met that goal. I literally remember walking into HR 10 years in the future, once I got that piece of paper from the federal government and told the lady from HR, submit my retirement packet, it's time for me to go. And I left. And I left the state of North Carolina, and the rest is history. That is how I did it. And you have to maintain that mindset. You have to continue to be intentional with your money and set other goals that you may want to achieve. And you cannot be doing all this hyper spending, thinking you're going to be able to accomplish goals like that, paying bills off early, paying a mortgage off 20 years early. Yeah, I think I ended up paying my car note a year early. So when I start knocking out all those bills, that money that I would have been spending on those bills, I increased more money going into my retirement. I was just slamming all of this money on top of the state retirement, extra retirements. When I got raises, I treated that raise like it didn't even exist when I was still in the workforce, and pumped up more money. Because the money, I was not used to having the money anyway. And then when COVID came, they gave us hazardous pay, and that we got an extra $2,000 a month because of COVID. I treated that $2,000 a month, and we got that for 3 years. Do your math on that. I treated that extra $2,000 a month like it didn't exist, increased my portfolio. And HR warned everybody, don't get used to this extra $2,000 a month, because when we stop the COVID pay, then your income going to drop back down to the regular amount. Don't go out there getting in all this debt because you're getting this extra. But a lot of people did. They got their behinds in debt. HR told us, don't get used to that money. I just treated the money like it didn't exist and invested into my retirement. And it all paid off. Because when I talked to my financial advisor, looked at my retirement package, and I was very, very pleased. And I'm here to tell you. So I say that to say that those are the tips and secrets to financial freedom. You got to write it down on paper. You got to have a game plan. You cannot, as you eliminate debt, you need that money you would have been spending on debt. Increase your financial portfolio, increase your emergency savings account. Do not enter retirement with a mortgage, car notes, school loan, credit cards, personal bills, because if you do, you're going to have to return back to work to be able to pay them bills. And I'm here to tell you, the key is enter retirement with the only bills that you should have is your food, your cell phone bill, and your insurance, and your utilities. That's it. That's it. And you can accomplish that at any age. About the last 4 or 5 years before I retired, my bills were all wiped out. I only had my cell phone bill, utilities, and food for about the last 5 years of my working history. And that's how I was able to invest my entire paycheck from the state of North Carolina back into my retirement, and I was still going to work every day. I wasn't even touching that money. And I use that same philosophy with my retirement check that I get every month, that I've been getting since I retired. I have not touched any of that money. I have reinvested all of my 100% of my retirement check into another retirement check ever since I left the state of North Carolina. And I was doing that the past several years before I retired when I was getting paid. And that is how you build financial freedom. That is how you can exit up out of this workforce at any age, by changing that mindset and writing that strategy plan on a piece of paper. They need to teach what I'm talking about right now in college, in school, in corporate America, because right now, if you look around, people are working themselves to death. They are retiring, then you look up, they're working a full-time job somewhere else, still deep in debt. You see it all over. You may be one of the people. This is real talk. This is real talk. I educate my family on financial freedom. In real talk. My nieces and nephews, any and everybody who want to listen, pay attention to what I'm saying, because I'm living witness that this mindset shift in financial freedom is real. It can be accomplished. I'm not no kind of wealthy person. I just know how to be wise with my money. That's it. I just know how to be wise and strategic with my money. That's it right there. I can use an example of someone who's making $40,000 a year. I would rather be somebody making $40,000 a year. I'm just using this as an example, with no mortgage, no school loan, no car note, no credit card. So say, for example, a person making $40,000 a year and all they got is their utilities and cell phone bill, then they should literally be able to invest 80 or 90% of their income. They would be invested into a financial portfolio, reinvest your dividends. Do that month after month after month after month, and you will be, I'm telling you, you can build wealth off $40,000. If you investing it into a financial portfolio, you are reinvesting your dividends. You ain't touching it. Every time you get those dividends off that investment, you turn around and you reinvest it. So now you're better off than someone who's making six figures, who's spending and splurging, deep in debt, living above their means, and ain't got a pot to piss in. And that's real talk. So ladies and gentlemen, share this information. Don't forget to mark your calendar for July 27th at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to do that relational live stream lecture on full copy edit. And that's all I have on this topic. That lecture will start at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's all I have. Simplify, simple fidelis, and I'm leaving in the care of your own conscience.